Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It is our pleasure to be together tonight, not only to celebrate Shabbat, but also to celebrate the confirmation of the class of 5781, who are now going to come and join us for our Shabbat service.
Goyel goy cherev lo yilmedu od milchama lo yisa goyel goy cherev lo yilmedu od milchama in front of me, I may not follow. Don't walk behind me, I may not lean. Just walk beside me and be my friend, and together we'll walk in the path of Hashem.
We now ask the parents of our confirmands for 5781. Will you please rise and in a loud voice that'll be heard by everyone online as well, share your prayer. Adonai, my God, in this hour of family joy, I turn to you in gratitude. My beloved child stands on the bima this Shabbat evening to confirm his or her identity as a Jew. I thank you for the blessing of parenthood, which through the years has so deeply enriched my life. And yet, even at this moment of pride and fulfillment, I feel humility. Through all the challenges of parenthood, your compassion and grace have enabled me to care for my child's physical and spiritual needs. Grant me the steadfastness to continue my guide, my child through the years ahead by precept and example. Grant me the privilege to witness my child's journey as she continues to develop the sacred Jewish qualities of love, faith, compassion, wisdom, and charity. May the teachings of our Jewish ancestors inspire my child to a life of honor and faithfulness. May she grow to love the good, shun evil, and be patient under trial. Praised are you, our God and God of our ancestors, for the gift of life, for sustaining us, and for bringing us to this sacred day. Amen.
Amen.
We ask the confirmands to please be seated. Daniel Menken and Madison Hanson will be lighting us in the Shabbat candles. So if parents are seated and turn to page 120 and 121 in the Mishkan Tefillah. Those are the blue numbers and brackets. So guys, light the candles first.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
One of our confirmands, Sammy Cohen, couldn't be here at our service this evening, but she, along with her classmates, all wrote these beautiful pieces. So it's my privilege that I get to read her words tonight that are truly, truly her words, printed off the email she sent me. So I'm just her mouthpiece this evening. Hello, my name is Sammy Cohen. And while I cannot be here today to read to you, I hope my words find you well. Today, I will become a confirmand. However, my journey to this moment has been anything but conventional. I live in Parker, a good 20-minute drive from here, which honestly isn't that bad, except for rush hour. Except those 20 minutes, while they seem small, are what distanced me from my Jewish identity for a long time. I can't remember a time where I had a Jewish friend at my school. What I can remember is the way my teachers would ask me to explain a Jewish holiday and make me stand in the front of the room and then correct my story. The way when the Holocaust was brought up in my 8th grade class, every person in the room's eyes were glued to me. How I never saw a single Hanukkah decoration. The halls were covered in red and green and Christmas trees, while Christmas carols played over the intercom. How boys would ask me if I celebrated Jewish and try to tell me how to celebrate my own religion. For a while, I felt really small. But when I would come to Hebrew school on a Sunday morning, for those few hours, I would feel at home. The people around me, regardless if I knew them or not, understood me. For those few moments when we were all singing the same song or lost in our own silent prayer or listening to our rabbi, we were connected. Slowly, as I began to grow a bit older, become a bit wiser, and gain a little more adventure, I neared my bat mitzvah. I studied and I learned and I grew and I took forever on the ashrei. As my friends would come up to me and ask what I wanted for my birthday party, I began to answer, actually, it's a bat mitzvah. And after a little while, the shakiness in my voice disappeared and I began to understand that it was okay to speak up for myself. Fast forward a few years or so I don't take up all your time, and here I am now. I'm a proud part of BBYO. If you're not familiar, this stands for B'nai B'rith Youth Organization. BBYO is magical and a home to so many Jewish teens across Colorado. My chapter 165 has taught me leadership skills, created meaningful relationships, and taught me that Judaism is not one size fits all. I may not celebrate the same as you, but that does not make either of us any less Jewish. So as I stand before you, I can confidently tell you that I am a proud and strong Jewish young woman. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg would be proud of me because I hear her voice echoing in my head saying, "My mother told me to be a lady, and for her, that meant to be your own person, be independent." I am my own person. I am somebody that speaks out against injustices and uses my platform to stand up for others. I'm a girl who fights against anti-Semitism and stands arm in arm with my Jewish sisters and brothers against hate. I'm someone who loves to read and make friendship bracelets and play volleyball. My name is Samantha Julian Cohen, and I am proud of who I am, and I'm excited to learn and grow. Most importantly, I am Jewish, and I am a confirmand.
We read responsively on page 124. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden,
thanks to express hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May
May
its
its
threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May this
May this
synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer, more meaningful life.
We continue with Lecha Dodi.
Page 138. Yai lai 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 la lai. Yai lai 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 la lai. Yai lai 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 la lai. Yai la lai lai ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Yai lai 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 la lai.
138.
Yai lai 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 la lai. Yai lai 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 la lai. Yai la lai lai lai. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'netila lecha dodi, likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavcha tchila. Lecha dodi, likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orech kumi uri, uri uri shir taberi, kevod Adonai like nigla. Lecha dodi, likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela.
We rise for the 9th verse. Bo'iva Shalom. We face the entrance. Greet the Sabbath as a bride.
Boi v'shalom aseret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi, likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la la yala la 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 la, 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 yala la la. Please be seated.
My confirmation is not one we normally see. The synagogue is half filled, we have masks on, and we cannot hug or shake hands with each other in congratulations. Nevertheless, I am glad we could do it on time, since confirmation is one of the most important ceremonies in Judaism to me. I began my Jewish journey at 8 days old with my baby naming, and now, 15 plus years later, I am here. Most people, before their confirmation, view becoming a bar bat mitzvah as the most important milestone in a Jewish life. While I do agree that having a bar bat mitzvah is a very important step, I actually don't find it the most important one. Confirmation, my choice to continue to value Judaism and partake in celebrations, both joyful and heartbreaking. To me, being Jewish means lighting Shabbat candles every Friday, cooking a Passover dinner with family, and even doing things I don't particularly enjoy, such as fasting on Yom Kippur. Connecting with other Jews to hear about their unique Jewish experience is happening now and will continue to happen throughout my life. Such as this month, our family's best friend's dad just spoke about his father's story in Romania during the Holocaust. I love learning and will continue learning about Judaism and how it relates to the world. Next year, I'm looking forward to going to Israel and meeting so many new people there. Exploring my Jewish roots is important to me, along with learning about the rich history of my people. I see my bat mitzvah as something that made me a Jewish adult. My confirmation is something I chose, and I chose to continue my Jewish learning for the rest of my life. Thank you.
We're on page 144. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, and to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, ve'amad divrah hirotei v'yamlich malhutei,
בחייכם ביומכם ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב
ve'meru.
אמן. ישמי רבה מברך ועלה מולל מעל מיה יתברך.
Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitraman, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha
Berechu.
leila mimhol birhata v'shirata,
תושבחתה בנחמתה דמירם בעלמא.
v'yemeru.
Amen.
Please turn to page 146 and rise for the Baruch Hu.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la.
are on page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv avarim.
Amen.
Please turn to page 150 for Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Atam, Amcha Atam. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadetam, otanu limadetam. Akein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochenu, u'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki im chayenu ve'orech yameinu, u'vahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael.
Please be seated.
How many of you have heard of the great Rabbi Hyman Christofsky? You might not recognize his name, but you may know his son. His son is Herschel Shmuel Pinchas Yerucham Christofsky, also known as Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons, a cartoon that has been on TV for 32 years. Krusty is an energetic character who has a difficult time making good decisions in his life. He doesn't always get along with everyone, and he struggles to find his place as a Jew and a clown. In my life, I have struggled too. I felt different being Jewish. It was strange for me to be the only Jew in my elementary school classes. From a young age, I had to explain the Jewish holidays to my friends. During Christmas sing-alongs with the school, I was the only one that didn't know the words. This was embarrassing for me, and I felt like an outcast. As I grew up, I began to see more and more Jewish representation all around me, from Krusty the Clown to Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. Judaism is not often shown in movies and TV shows. It's nice to have some representation, even if it is in The Simpsons. In one particular episode, Krusty the Clown has a bar mitzvah. For those of you wondering, it is season 15, episode 6. This episode illustrates the importance of being connected to your religion and accepting who you are. Krusty's father did not want him to have a bar mitzvah at 13 because he thought Krusty would make a mockery of it. Due to his father's doubt, he had his bar mitzvah at 52. As an adult, Cresty had to combine his love of entertainment and being Jewish all into one. There was a lot of pressure on him to just pick one, but in the end, he picked both. I have learned to not only accept who I am, but also be proud of it. I don't ignore my religion. Instead, I incorporate it into my life. I am proud of being a Jew and proud to have continued my religious studies through confirmation to where I am standing before you today.
Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What should be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it from? Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Let us rise for the Shema. We're on 152. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Please turn to page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha
ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמן.
Okay. Hi. Please look at page 155, or Love Your God. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. I just lost my place. Hold on. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Do I just do my thing? Great. Hi. These past 11-ish years have been wild. Ever since the beginning, I've dreaded coming to this place. In my opinion, it was a waste of my Sundays and my Wednesdays. I would talk during services, purposefully annoy my teachers in Madrachim, and would refuse to get anything out of it. Every year, however, my dad would sign me up for religious school without my consent. And I would wallow in my sadness at the thought of having to spend 3 hours of my day doing the most boring activities imaginable. Now that this is my last day, I have thought back on my experiences here. I have made many friends and had plenty of laughs. Every Sunday, I would wake up filled with fury that I had to come to Temple Sinai. But once there, those 3 hours felt like 3 minutes because I was having so much fun. I would never, ever, ever tell my dad this, but I actually enjoyed my time here. I always put up a facade of loathing religious school and would complain about having to go. And I just wish that I would have savored it a little bit more. I didn't really comprehend that it would end so abruptly. I spent so much time looking at the clock for the 2 hands to meet at the 12 so I could go than I did learn about Judaism and what it meant to me. And it just now hit me that I'll probably not see some of my acquaintances for a little while. My section of Torah for this week focuses on gaining the ability to not hold a grudge and to not seek vengeance on your enemies. And I have to say, for the majority of my time here at Temple Sinai, I was waiting for my opportunity to seek vengeance on this program. Honestly, I have no idea why I would want to seek vengeance on the place that opened me up to a myriad of opportunities and experiences in the Jewish community. And why would I want to seek vengeance on my frail, old, decrepit father? I always thought that I didn't learn anything from being here, but in reality, I learned so much about what Judaism means, to not only me, but to the members of my community who are in the same boat. I am proud to be a part of the Final 10 and will continue to cherish the memories that I have made here. Thank you.
We are on page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe that we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get here, no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Now on page 158 for the Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai lai ya lai la lai la lai la 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 lai ya la la lai lai ya la la lai lai mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha neta b'kodesh Nora tehilo rosei vele Nora tehilo rosei vele Malchutecha u'manecha Bokeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze'elianu li'anu Ze'elianu li'anu Adonai Le'olam ba'ed Adonai Le'olam ba'ed Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai Yai lai lai la lai la 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 Yai lai la lai la lai la 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 lai Yai lai la lai la 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 la
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גר ישראל.
Okay. So the next prayer is the Hashkivenu, spoiler alert, which is about peace. Now this year has not been so peaceful by a long shot with COVID and the many restrictions it's put on our life. Being the stress it is, it's kind of hard to imagine peace. where we're at right now. But there are little and big things that can make us forget about the giant cloud of unrest that controls our head. For example, my sister recently had her bat mitzvah, where she did excellent. She was very nervous, but she had studied and hard and made it through. And seeing her do this, it made me really happy and proud, and gave me a bit of motivation to come up here, and because I was nervous as well. But there are also things that collectively can lead up to peace. They're a lot harder to appreciate because a lot of the time they're small and they're in your life every day, and you kind of ignore them after a little bit. For example, something that I love and that gives me this feeling is when I get home, my dogs always greet me at the door. They start bringing me toys and greeting me, and it's just really awesome to see them happy, and it makes me happy. But that's only one thing every day, and it takes a little more to lift you up depending on your day. And for me, that comes from the people in my family, whether it's seeing them at the dinner table and talking about our days or throwing around a frisbee in the backyard. There's something refreshing about being yourself and being accepted by the people you love. And in a way, I have a family here at the temple. It is an open place where we are reminded of the good in the world, but also acknowledging the bad in the world and trying to improve it. But for now, I have peace in knowing I have a loving family. Then please turn to page 160 for the Hashkivenu. Shalom, 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 shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ushmor tzeitenu Shalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
Baruch ata Adonai haporeh sukat shalom aleinu v'kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Hi, my name is Cameron, and when I was younger, I didn't really consider being Jewish to be a big part of my life. I just thought all it was celebrating different holidays that I didn't know much about. During the middle school years of religious school is when I learned the most about what it meant to be Jewish. I've learned a lot about Jewish culture, Jewish food, and how connected the Jewish community is. I always complained about going to religious school because it would take away part of my weekend, which was supposed to be the days where I can rest and do whatever I want. But I would always end up having fun. Through religious school, I've met many people that I probably wouldn't have met if I didn't go for that, and I'm thankful. I'm also thankful for my mom for making me a part of this Jewish community and forcing me to go to religious school every weekend. I remember studying for my bar mitzvah, which was very stressful for me since I was only in 7th grade and never really had to study for something this important before. But the time I put into it was worth every minute because I remember how proud of myself I was to be able to do it. These last 10 years in religious school have gone by so fast, and even though my class has gotten a lot smaller throughout the years, we haven't grown apart all that much. We have worked hard to get to where we all are today, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for all of us. Thank you. Please join me on the top of page 162 for the Vishamru.
Veshamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו לה. ושמרו בני ישראל ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We are on page 163. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time.
We rise now as we continue with the Amidah. It's on page 164 and following. We'll chant the Avod and Gevorot and Kedusha, and then we'll be seated afterwards.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Mekoneh Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Geula Lifnei Bneihem, L'man Shemo v'Yahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav ve'Hoshia, Morid atah, Mechakel chaim v'chesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Solech noflim v'rofeh cholim, U'matir hasurim, U'mekayem emunato l'shelei afar. Michamocha bal gevurot u'migdol meralav, melech mevit u'mechayeh u'matzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah le'achayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Please take a few moments for your private meditation, and when you're finished, please be seated.
We are on page 173. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied, dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. My name is Tyler Marshall, and I have been going to Temple Sinai Rabbinical School for the last 4 years. And in this last year, I have started at a new school, Denver Jewish Day School. It's been an unusual year. We have dealt with a worldwide plague that has caused 3.5 million recorded deaths. And on top of all of this is anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that have placed the blame on the shoulders of the Jewish community in Colorado and all around the world. In the midst of all this chaos, we've had to distance ourselves from each other to protect friends and family. Birthdays, holidays, and a number of community events have been missed. In my old school, my brother and I were the only kids that were Jewish, and it felt as if we needed to act otherwise to fit in. I remember when my brother and I would walk down the halls, and the kid over my shoulder would whisper jokes in relation to the Holocaust or stereotypes that degraded me. But when I joined Temple Sinai just a year later, my confidence grew through the help of the community. All these comments meant nothing to me, and eventually the kids were punished for their actions. So in the light of all this, how do we as individuals press on? The answer is we don't. There will always be hate, and there's nothing we can do about it. It is how we take the hate that will change how people view us and how they view each other. Even in this epidemic setting, we exist not as individuals, but as individuals in a strong community. While we may not be physically present, we are never really apart. No matter how far we may be from one another, or the hate we get, it cannot strip the community away from us. Thank you.
I'm going to continue with the Mishiberach, the prayer of healing on page 371. And every week, Rabbi Coleman and I call many congregants. And in the past, this would be a service, this confirmation service, in which we would have an awful lot of people here. And it's a service that means a lot to people, especially people who are going through difficult times, who are going through a broken heart because of a loss, who are going through illness, or who are going through the time where they're caring for someone else who's got an illness. And especially over these last 15 months, the idea that there are young people who are continuing to study and to stand up proudly and to say, I'm a confirmand, or others who are standing up here as bar, bat mitzvah, and showing pride and studying and giving joy to their family and the community. It just lights a spark of hope, lights a spark that things are going to get better. And so as we recite these prayers of healing, and not to say that a prayer itself is going to make a difference, but each of the people who I'm naming in about a second, and those who you have in your heart, and that you will call up later on and say, you know what, I went to a remarkable service. And if they say, wow, I'd love to see that, you can tell them, you know, it's recorded, it's on the Temple Sinai website. But they'll know that there's a place for them, that there are people who care about them, and that there's a whole generation yet to come that will make a positive difference. So on 371, I'll have to share these prayers, but I'm specifically thinking of those for whom we've been sharing prayers. Estelle Agres and Ryan Albert, Mike Babbage, Stan and Sandra Bauer, Andy Bean, Samantha Bernstein, Steve Bokum and Harold Cohen, Joseph Michael Connor, Cindy Coons, Maxine Dell, Frank and Aaron DeSena, Marty Einhorn, Ron Epstein, Stan Farber, Harriet Feld, Lauren Fishbein, Jack Fisher, Bob Frischman, Morris Ginsberg, Wendy Glasser, Marlene Gottleman, Jeremy Gold, Ellen and Erica Gulnick, Kathy Grazi, Lois Haas, Jerry Hart, Josh Hepner, Miriam Koopman, Gary Hoskins, Oliver Jack, Stephen Koffler, Arnie Lash, Jerry Lassow, Laurie Lavenhar, Fred and Judy Lazar, Audrey Lazar, Adrian Levy, David Levy, Juanita Lorenco, Dina Marks, Mary Ann May, Hugh Miles, and Nevitt Montgomery, Alice Murphy, Diane Cushman-Neal, Sidney Noko, Rafael Ben-Ruvain Ufega, Jane and Sam Potter, Bernie Rogoff, Alan Rosenberg, Donna Stantisavan, Diana Sevilla, John Schuler, Daniel and Callista Schwartz, Raj Schwartz, Norm Sheldon, Joshua Singer, Mark Sorkin, Sheldon Sperling, Ed Steinberg, Betty Stone, Helena Stryker, Hal Tabak, Susan Tandler, Stan Ullman, Marlene Waldbaum, Valerie Wasserman, Dorothy Weddy, Eden Winnig, Jill Witchlands, Jim Wilson, Art Wolfson, Elaine Yaffe, Esther Jenkinson, Aidan Zenon, and Dr. Julie and Dr. Scott Zibelman. As we think of them and pray for their health, we sing on page 371.
Mi shebeira avotenu mikol habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeira imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We're going to continue with the Seder Kriyat Torah, the service of the reading of the Torah. These confirmation students, we have 4 of whom will be reading from this Torah. They're reading from the Holocaust Torah. It's a Torah that's well over 300 years old. We are the custodians of it. Many of you have seen it up close. It was rescued from the Nazis after World War II from Czechoslovakia. We are the proud holders of it. And we have one of the few that's not just in a museum case or a display case. It's in proudly our Aron HaKodesh. It's very frail and it can't be read often, but I think when the confirmation students come up, they are most certainly fitting to read from it, and they will. They're going to be chanting beautifully from this Torah. So as we have Tyler, you and Ella are going to come help open the ark doors. Everyone else, if you turn to page 362, would you please rise?
Ein kamocha ve'elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut, כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני אלוה, לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. על הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים. כי לך לבד בטחנו, מלך אל רם ונישא, אדון עולמים.
Let's get all the confirmants so that we're surrounding the Torah. You don't need your books right now. You don't need books, you got Torah. Okay, face your mommy daddies. Ready?
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Gadol Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Roma Shemo Yachdav, Lecha Adonai והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה, והתנשא לכל לראש.
Please be seated. Take your mask off, people here. Before we read from the Torah, Maddie's going to share her Devar Torah.
That chair. Sitting against the wall with my family by my side, I was surrounded by congregants and members of neighboring churches and synagogues. It was a ceremony to celebrate and honor the lives of those lost in the Tree of Life synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh. I hadn't understood its severity. It was another notification on my phone. A horrible thought to think, but yes, another shooting. And then I turned my phone off. I didn't even begin to understand the anti-Semitism and hatred in this act. And when I did, I didn't understand why. I've grown up in less than an inclusive community, where the other Jews at my school were my siblings, and my mom always made latkes to bring into class so I could explain what Hanukkah was. In elementary school, I was cool, different. I felt special being Jewish. In middle school, it was a thing that kept me different, something that stopped me from belonging. I wasn't ashamed, but I wasn't proud. When people would ask me about my Easter or Christmas plans, I would just say something small with my family and then quickly change the topic because it was way easier than explaining that I also had Passover and Hanukkah to celebrate. I've been at Temple Sinai since preschool and have gone to Jewish summer camp where I've met some of my absolute best friends in the whole wide world, some of who I'm lucky enough to share the stage with tonight. In this chair, as we were reading our Shabbat prayer about beating our swords into plowshares, I realized what I was a part of. I'm Jewish. For the eternity of time, we have been scrutinized, discriminated, and killed, but we do not and will not fall to this evil. Our prayers are not those filled with anger and resentment, but those filled with love and hope for the future. This service was the moment where I realized what I am hiding. Why am I hiding the most beautiful part of myself, one of resilience, love, and positivity? While it can be difficult at times, I do wear my happy Hanukkah sweater to school on ugly Christmas sweater days and proudly tell my peers and teachers that I will not be attending school on Monday because it is in fact Yom Kippur. Whether your moment was sitting with your best friends around campfires, eating absolutely disgusting quinoa, sitting in the back of a service, a random personal moment, or maybe you simply haven't had yours yet, we are Jewish. I feel so beyond privileged to be up here, freely talking about my love for Judaism and how I had my moment. And as you leave this service today, I ask you to think, what's your moment? Where will it take you? Let it inspire and push you and grow and learn from it. What will you do with your moment?
Koch, that's fabulous. Thank you, Maddie. Let's have all the students gather around. You're going to leave your mask off because you're going to be reading Torah in just about a second. And they're going to be reading from, I'll put it right over here. Come on, guys, come around, because those of you who are not reading or chanting Torah, you're doing the blessings. They're going to be reading from the 19th chapter of the book of Leviticus. We got blessings here, and this is yours. Again, this is a very unusual Torah. So the writing on it takes a lot of time, and these students didn't have a lot of time, but they put a lot of time into making this happen. And so, Maddie, I want you to come over here, point to this where they're all going to say the blessing over that. And all the students together will sing 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Barak Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barak Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. One of you guys hold one side.
Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe Lemor, Daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael, v'amarta alehem Kedoshim Tehiyu, Ki Kadosh Ani Adonai Eloheihem. Ishimo ve'aviv tira'u ve'et shavtotav tishmoru. Ani Adonai Eloheihem. Al tifnu el ha'elinim ve'lohei Maseha lo ta'asu lahem ani Adonai Eloheihem.
Amen. That's wonderful. It says, Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the whole Israelite community and say to them, you shall be holy, for I, Adonai, your God, am holy. You shall each revere his mother and his father and keep my Sabbaths. I, Adonai, am your God. Do not turn to idols or make molten golds to yourself. I am Adonai, your God. That was awesome. And now, Avi, you're going to be reading that next section of Kutzrechem. Someone else hold the Torah for him. There's that.
Uv Kutzrechem et et katsir alechem lo tikale pe'at shadcha litzor velaket kitzarha lo tikale arhamaha lo telachlel uferet kamaha lo tikale tet Lani velacha atah ani Adonai Eloheihem lo tiksnovu velo tehachoshu velo teshaharu ani Adonai ishalahaniu.
When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall not pick your vineyard bare or gather the fallen fruit of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I, Adonai, am your God. You shall not steal. You shall not deal deceitfully or falsely with one another. Yeshakach. Gethel, come on over. You're reading the next section.
Lo tishavu vishmi la shaker v'hilal ta et shem Elohecha ani Adonai. Lo ta'asok et re'echa v'lo tigzol lo talin pu'ulat sachir itcha ad boker. Lo tekalel cheresh v'lifnei iver titein mikshol
Yeshua, fabulously done. You shall not swear falsely by my name, profaning the name of the Lord your God. I am Adonai. You shall not defraud your fellow. You shall not commit robbery. The wages of the laborer shall not remain with you until morning. You shall not insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind. You shall revere Adonai your God. It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Josh. Now, we'll bring this down here just a second. Now, he's got a hard one, because this is an enormous Torah, and it goes way over here, and it goes way up in the top. So, no embarrassment there, buddy.
Okay. Okay.
Lotatsu.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
You have to step down so I can see. Okay. Is it?
There we go. Amen. Lo ta'asu avel b'mishpat, lo tisaf p'nei dal, velo tedar p'nei gadol, b'tzedek tishpot amitecha, lo telech rachil be'amecha, lo ta'amod al dam re'echa, ani Adonai, lo tisna et achicha bilvavecha, Toche ach tochiach et amitecha, velo tisa alav chet. Lo tikom velo titor et b'nei amecha, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, ani Adonai.
Amen. That was so wonderful. Thank you very much. Hold that for 2 seconds. These are the concluding words. You shall not render an unfair decision. Do not favor the poor or show deference to the rich. Judge your kinsmen fairly. Do not deal basely with your countrymen. Do not profit by the blood of your fellow. I am Adonai. You shall not hate your kinsfolk in your heart. Reprove your kinsman, but do not incur guilt because of him. You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against your countrymen. Love your fellow as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. I am Adonai. This special section from this very, very special Torah was chosen specifically because it speaks of the social justice, the cause of helping to make this world a better place. But it doesn't start by pointing out to the people out there who are doing wrong. It starts by pointing the finger inside and saying, what can I do right? And each of you have stood up in such a beautiful way of preparing the service and all the rest. So we're going to have the conclusion of this Torah reading with the blessings, and then we're going to raise this Torah so everyone can see this amazing Torah as well. You can step off now. You're way too tall for me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ta Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'Eloheinu baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Now what we're going to do, we're going to raise the Torah up and dress it. And to dress the Torah, Cameron Hostetler and Sam Winnig will help me. So you guys will help me with this as well. I'm going to raise this to my best of ability to let you see this Torah. If you haven't seen it up close, it's an amazing Torah. And the way it's written, it predates the standardization of the Torah. So it's not a Vav Torah. It's written in the unusual way. And many of the kids will see that there's a Fei within a Pei and some Kabbalistic touches to this Torah. So it's very, very unique. So if one day you want the adults say, well, we don't get to read from it. So come one day and Rabbi Kalman and I will show you. So in the meanwhile, why don't you rise up and I'll raise this Torah so everyone will be able to see as best as they can.
Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. Yad lai lai lai, yad lai lai lai, yad lai lai lai, yad lai lai lai, yad lai lai, yad lai lai lai. Ya la la la, 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 ya la la la. Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. Yad lai lai lai, yad lai lai lai, yad lai lai lai, yad lai lai lai, yad lai lai, yad lai lai, yad lai lai, yad lai.
Please be seated. And now, Avi, it's your turn to share.
You know, whoops. Okay. On second thought, scribbling improvise on the back of a Chipotle napkin is not the best way to go in terms of speech preparation. Mind you, I doubt I could have prepared for this any better, especially considering how this whole year has just been kind of improvised. I mean, people have said the phrase, let's wing it, more than a couple of new parents. The whole year hasn't been too dissimilar from a screaming, crying thing that just won't let you sleep. And I would like to say that Judaism has all the answers for us, and all we have to do is turn towards it. It'll tell us what to do. It really doesn't. We're all different, and different things hold different meanings for us. So nobody, not even a zillion-year-old book, can tell us what we need and what we should do. That's because it's up to us to find our own answers. Now, this doesn't mean we should forsake the teachings of the Torah. The whole reason that Judaism exists is to provide us all with a medium through which we can attain personal growth. It doesn't matter whether you can read Torah or understand what any of the prayers mean. It's about the journey we each take on our road of Torah. It means it's the path we choose to follow. By seeking our own answers, we validate their truthfulness because we know they are the answer we need. It doesn't matter that some old guy said the answer was chicken blood 500 years ago, because that wasn't your answer. To quote another older guy, it isn't about the destination, it's about the journey. Judaism is the journey, so stop worrying about where you're going and instead glean meaning from where you are at. This year, confirmation for me has been all about this idea. I have a lot of life left ahead of me and a whole lot of stuff I hope to accomplish between now and then. But all that future stuff, it's in the future. And when people live anywhere but the present, they're missing out on the joy that surrounds them each and every day. Either that or they learn time travel. Pretty cool. Time travel aside, this year has been a year where we can't help but wish it were over. Stop doing that. Instead, think of all the time you've gotten together with those closest to you and all of the epic binge watching you would have missed out on had COVID never hit. Sure, you might sometimes want to punch said people, and there's a limit to how much Netflix the human body can handle before being classified as a vegetable. But these emotions pass. Instead of dwelling on the past, let's all keep driving the highway of life and leave yesterday where it belongs, behind us. But try not to forget us teenagers on the side of the road, because we don't do well without our daily kick in the pants. Becoming a confirmand during COVID has been a lesson in improvisation. Our rabbis and teachers have had to jump between virtual and in-person learning, and we all know how tumultuous things have been. Throughout the journey, my fellow confirmands and my teachers have been able to help me realize that the journey is far more important than the end. Just because we're getting confirmed tonight does not mean that our journey through Judaism is over. I look forward to many more stories ahead of me. Thank you.
Thank you, Avi. That was wonderful. I want our Temple Sinai president, Bob Steen, come on up here, because in just a moment you're going to share a few words too. We're all at these milestones. This is a milestone for the confirmands. You've heard them mention it a number of times of the journey they've been on, and many of whom have been on this journey at Temple Sinai since they were in preschool. A couple of you, I was there for your namings when you were just born, which is uber cool. And a lot of B'nai Mitzvah as well. Bob, come on and sit up there. The idea of marking a milestone and looking ahead, I think is a little intimidating, both for parents and for students as well, because there's a lot of pretensions, and Avi, you mentioned that a little bit. Pretensions, I'm going to have tikkun olam, I'm going to fix the whole world. And you know what? We've had a lot of great generations before us. Some of them call themselves the greatest generation, which is a good thing to call yourself. Some of us are boomers. The ones before us call themselves the greatest generation. That's really pretty good. We'll change that name in a second. But none of us have fixed all the problems. We've left plenty for the next generation. Yesterday, I was with my baby's college graduation, sitting outside on a porch at the Hillel, letting the sun make my skin even redder and darker. But the thrill of watching the kids gather together on a porch instead of a stadium, and not wearing robes and mitre hats, but rather just their flip-flops and whatever they were, to enjoy the moments together, marking that, my gosh, we're at the end of a college career. Now we're supposed to go out and fix the world. Well, they didn't break it, right? And some of the commencement speakers were talking about the fact that all that they're facing, and the racism that we know is in this world, the bigotry in this world, anti-Semitism in this world, the environmental disaster that you guys have inherited, a lot of challenges. There is no pretension that you're going to fix it all. Tikkun olam is a nice phrase, and it simply means I'm going to do my best to make this world a little bit better for my time in it. Tonight, you guys stood up here as young men and women, reading Torah, leading service, and you have said many of the same things. We're not going to, as Rabbi Tarfon said, complete all of our task, but you also know that you're not free to let it go either. You have something important. And Maddie, I thought what you said was so perfect, and that is, you know what, I'm very proud of who I am, and I'll wear it with pride. To be a confirmand is to say, I confirm. To be a confirmand is to say, I am up here to say I am a young Jewish person, and I know that I have a long history behind me, and even more importantly, I have a long future ahead of me to do the things that I know are going to make a difference in this world, both for me and, God willing, for the children and the children's children that will come after me. Finishing, no, but adding another link in that journey, absolutely. Vishinantam levanecha, we chant. We will teach our children, and in turn, our children come up as young, impressive adults, and they teach us. Fix the world? No, that's not for anybody. To make it better, you have already made it better. I know that I can speak for my colleague, Rabbi Coleman, my predecessor, Rabbi Zwerin, and saying we are very, very proud of you. And now, someone also is at a milestone, Officer Bob Steen.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome, sir. Take this off so people hear you.
Oh, good. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Bob Steen. I'm the president of the Temple Sinai Board of Trustees. It's my pleasure and my honor to congratulate all of you on behalf of the board and on behalf of the congregation. they ran out of napkins at Chipotle. So I got this for you. Later on in Leviticus, we read about not what good things, not only what good things happen when we follow the statutes and ordinances that Moses read at Mount Sinai, but we also hear about the curses. And I don't want to bring up curses in a wonderful ceremony like this, but something occurred to me as I was reading about that part of Leviticus. And when I'm not learning from Rabbi Rhines and Rabbi Coleman and Rabbi Zwerin and my friend Rabbi Kay, I usually turn to Lord Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. And he brought this to my attention. He said that later on, after all the curses, after all the bad, there's still hope. The Torah reads, "But despite all that, when they are in enemy territory, I will not reject them or despise them to the point of totally destroying them, breaking my covenant with them by doing so, because I am the Lord their God. But for their sake, I will remember the covenant with the first generation, the ones I brought out of Egypt's land in the sight of all the nations, in order to be their God." The Hebrew is va'af gamzot. But despite all that, despite missing soccer practice and not going to the movies on a Friday night, and perhaps, I don't know, a little COVID, despite all that, you, the 9 out of the final 10, made it. Out of the 40 that started, give or take, you made it. So let me just tell you this. Looking at, even with all those curses, with all that can befall us, there's always hope. If you look at our religion like a lifeline, a rope hanging from a Coast Guard helicopter in a choppy, icy sea, when all else seems like it's going to fail, grab on the rope and don't let go, because it will always be there. So to you, congratulations. Keep trucking. You've done well. Mazel tov, and thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Bob, stay up here as president. We're going to have you together with Ron Leff, who is our director of education, and Rabbi Coleman, and Dan the man is going to come over here as well as we make presentations to the students. So guys, just like we rehearsed, you'll leave your book on here and you come here, and we're going to do elbow greetings, and you're going to get presents. How's that? That's between us. I don't want anyone else to know that that's our secret. All right, Mr. Leff.
Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to have everyone here. I'm going to just start by calling them up and handing them a certificate of confirmation from the temple. We know that Sammy isn't here, so Avidan Grope. And then you'll head over to the Rabbi and Dan, and they will hand you your Bible. Madison Hope Hansen. Cameron Hostetler. Mazel tov. Daniel Menken. Mazel tov. Giselle Marians. Tyler Ella Myers. How'd we get out of order? Mazel tov. Tyler Marshall. Joshua Weiner. He's got the walk. And Samuel Wenig. Mazel tov.
We are still in the process of counting the Omer, counting the 7 weeks between Passover and Shavuot. We're almost there. We'll celebrate Shavuot together next weekend. And our Omer is on, we can count the Omer on page 570. Sehineni mulchan u'mizuman l'kayem mitzvot aseh shel svirat ha'omer. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al svirat ha'omer. Hayom arba'a ve'arba'im yom shehem chamishav shavuot v'shisha yamim la'omer. Today is day 41, which is 5 weeks and 6 days of the Omer. We invite you all to rise as we prepare to return the Torah to the Ark, page 374.
Eitz chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tomhecha meushar deracheha darchei noam lechol netivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh chadesh yameinu chadesh yameinu keketem.
Before Aleinu, we need all the kids coming over closer. We get a chance to share the Birkat Kohanim. This is the last week in which we're reading from the book of Leviticus. Next week we start from Bamidbar, the book of Numbers. In the 6th chapter of that book, it says, say these words of blessing for my children. God says, say these words, but rabbis and cantors and presidents and parents, we don't have the power to bless you. We have the power simply to let you know that you are a blessing. And as you are standing here as confirmands, these words have been yours from the moment of your birth. And we hope that you will take them seriously and cherish them, shine them, and share them with this world. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Can you hear that song?
Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'chuneka.
Can you hear that song?
Yisar Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Can you hear that song? May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may God's face show itself to you through that light, through that warmth, and may that bring you peace. And we say amen.
Amen. And we're going to continue with Aleinu in the middle of 586 as we sing.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, lateit gdula liotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu kirei haratzot, velo samlanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, manachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Ne'emar ve'Adonai lemelech hakol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Please be seated.
We, as Jews, always understand and look at everything that takes place in life as an extension of God's will. We join in prayer for all sorts of reasons, but it's the one thing that can bring us all together. I go to Cherry Creek High School. It has a pretty big Jewish population, relatively speaking. And we have a Jewish club that meets almost every Wednesday. Ben, the coordinator, is there every single week. No matter how he is feeling, even if his kneecap is attached to his leg that day, he will always be there. He always has a smile on his face, always the loudest one there, in a good way, and is always the reason everyone walks out with a smile on their faces. The Jewish community is one of the best communities I've ever met, and I'm proud I'm a part of it. Sometimes I get people who randomly walk up to me and ask if I'm Jewish. I reply, "What makes you say that?" And I always get the same response. "I can tell from your Jufro." I gotta admit, having a Jufro has its perks, not needing to pay for getting a perm or even putting in the time to maintaining one. If anyone could naturally get curly hair from being Jewish, I think a lot more people would become Jewish. Nonetheless, there are countless ways relating something you would never thought a million years ago you could relate to Judaism. 2020 was a tough year for all of us. COVID-19 affected us all in different ways. Some of us lost our jobs, friends, school experiences, loved ones, but we all lost a sense of life. Towards the end of 2020, I lost my grandfather from COVID. I am one in over 3 million that were told they lost a loved one from COVID. How is it that the world just goes on, the sun still rises, the birds chirp, traffic jams, and people go about their lives as if it was just another day? We as humans want answers to everything. The ultimate question is what happens when we die. There is a reason why the Mourner's Kaddish doesn't mention anything about death. We are taught that their spirits live on with us under God's presence. If it wasn't for Judaism teaching me what I know now, I don't know how I would have comprehended the passing of my grandfather. I hope for you all who are struggling with the passing of a loved one to join us in the Kaddish Yatom and let God remind you of his presence. Thank you.
Daniel.
On the heels of Daniel's beautiful words, this Shabbat, we are in the Shiva, the 7 days of mourning for Dr. David Silberman, the husband of Susan, father of Scott and Natalie, Andrea and Aaron, Mark and Hallie, grandfather of Riley, Lola, Judah, Talia, Asher, Shai, Perry, and the brother of Lynn and Leslie. We're in the Shilashim, the 30 days of mourning for Ellen Falk, the wife of Stuart, mother of John and Ruby, and grandmother of Georgia and Nora. For Faye Greenspan, the sister of Helena and Alan Stryker. For Mark Levy, the husband of Pearl Ray Courts Levy. For Harold Ostrand, the father of Karen and Cliff Zeller, grandfather of Ben and Emily, Matt and Zhao and John, and the great-grandfather of Laurel and Holly. For Dr. Yona Diane Victor Smirnoff, the mother of Ellen Esther Smirnoff, stepmother of Anastasia Elzakina and Carlos Estrada, and the wife of the late Leonid Smirnoff. And for Barry Steinberg, the father of Dan and Dr. Jocelyn Nesson, the grandfather of Claire and Logan. This Shabbat, we're marking the Yartzites, the anniversaries of the passing of Ella Mo Aaron, Adele Berger Krieger, Frances Berman, Buzzy Brandeis, Helen Brodkin, Renee Brodsky, Helen Cohen, Alvin Cowan, Sanford Eckstein, Ida Epstein, Sarah Friedman, Gail A. Goldberg, Lillian Lath Green, Sandra Heyman, Ruth Hirsch, Wolf Hirsch, Elizabeth Hoskins, Scott Kaplan, Leona Elizabeth Karshmar, Bernice Kelman, Gilbert Kirschenbaum, Ethel Landau, Samuel Leddies, Eric Joseph Mack, Pauline Maller, Doyle Martin, Ann Miner, Howard Mueller, Norman Nowak, Thaddeus E. Nugent, Harry Ochman, Muriel Ochman, Babs Phillips, Dina Pagato, Max Pitter, Lily Radford, Ruth Roshti, Claire K. Rome, Jan Rose, Leon Joseph Rosenberg, Sidney Ross, Harry Sherman, Yaakov Schmorgan, David Seigelbaum, Harry Simler, Israel Slosky, Rudy Spring, Fanny Stepler, Frank Stridoff, Blanche Weisberg, Rose Willard, Esther Winokur, Asher Wolf, Lily Zom, and Ellen Zuckerman. Is anyone else observing a Yartzeit this Shabbat? We rise, if you're able, page 598 for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach Yutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal shemed kudesha b'richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'momav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. We say zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Please be seated.
Just a couple of announcements that tomorrow we do have our Shabbat morning worship at 9 o'clock. There's a bat mitzvah also at 10:30. We have also for all of you, the committee has determined that we can have up to 100 people. And you are the first time we have expanded beyond just 50 for this Warren Sanctuary. So if you're interested in coming to services, just give us a little ring, a little shout out, and we'll make sure that you come. We hope if you haven't had your vaccine that you do so. You encourage friends and families to do so. We're almost there where we can all get rid of this. Thank God they're starting to allow the kids who aren't 16, those who are just 15 and younger, start to get it. So please protect yourself. Let it be a sweet summer, as Rabbi Coleman mentioned. Next week, starting on Sunday night, is the Shavuos.
Yep.
Sunday night we have Shavuot, a community service and program that Rabbi Coleman and I will be participating in. Lots of rabbis from all different services, all different congregations will be joining in for teaching and learning and celebrating Shavuot. So with that, we're about to have our closing song. They're going to have the recessional. But I mentioned that this is the last week of reading Leviticus. That we have Bachar and Bukhulatai, the last two Torah portions. And as the last of a Torah portion is read, we raise the Torah and we say, Chazak, Chazak v'nit chazek. For these wonderful students, for their fabulous parents who have, in spite of the fact that some of them may have whined and cried and caused a temper or whatever about going to religious school, the parents said, you're going, we believe in it, and I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that the parents and the grandparents are supportive of it. Thank God. Chazak, chazak v'nit chazek. You've been strong. Continue to be strong. And let us have courage as we go forth. So if the confirmants leave your books on the chairs, rise up. We're going to have our closing song. Dan, why don't you tell us what we're singing?
We're singing I Have a Voice by Ilana Arian, a wonderful sentiment for coming into this new place in their life, speaking up against hatred and bigotry, and bringing goodness into the world with their voices. I will open my eyes. I will open my eyes. I will not look away. I will not look away. I will use this gift I've been given every day. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will give of myself. I will give of myself. I will reach out my hand. I will reach out my hand. I will use this heart I've been given to take a stand. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will fight for the truth. I will fight for the truth. I'll stand up for what's right. I'll stand up for what's right. I will use this strength I've been given to be alive. I have a voice, my voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice, my voice is powerful. My voice can change the world.
For the recessional.
Olam chesed yibaneh, Yadadai, Yadadai, Olam chesed yibaneh, Yadadai, Yadadai, Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh, I will build this world from love. And you must build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love.
Mazal Tov and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.